everyone, Nicole here from Writer's Brook. If you're new to this channel, I'm an author, a former high school English, film studies, and theater teacher, and I currently work in higher education. Writer's Brook is a deep dive into the world of storytelling, from movies to books, TV, video games, and more. Today's video is going to be the start of a new series. It's a travel vlog where I will be recommending stories to watch, read, or play that are set or filmed in the locations that I visit. I recently spent time in Europe on a long vacation, and I want to share the experience with you. First, we went to Edinburgh, Scotland. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. We arrived in the middle of a haar, which is a really thick seaside fog, and it made the place even more magical, especially because we arrived at night. It was so atmospheric and felt like I was walking into a spooky Scottish mystery. We stayed right on the Royal Mile at the Chevelle Old Town Chambers down the road from Edinburgh Castle. It was absolutely amazing. Here we are in the room my sisters and I stayed in. I had my own bed in this side room up front. We had this gorgeous full kitchen, as well as a dining and living area with a TV and a washer and dryer setup. We had a beautiful bathroom with a waterfall shower. My sisters shared the main room. And right through here brings us to the living room again. Like I said, we stayed on the Royal Mile, and we were a short 5-minute walk from Edinburgh Castle. The castle was massive and looked absolutely breathtaking in the Har. We visited the castle on King Charles' Coronation Day. It was a fantastic experience to be in the United Kingdom for the coronation without having to be surrounded by the exceptionally busy crowds of London. Edinburgh Castle houses the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards Regiment Museum, and the guards were there, and they even shot off cannons during the coronation. I have to say that visiting Edinburgh in general, but specifically the castle, felt like walking straight into the world of Harry Potter, because the magic school, Hogwarts, and the nearby town of Hogsmeade are set in Scotland. The castle was built as a military stronghold with a history that reaches back to the Iron Age. The castle has been a royal residence, a military garrison, and a prison. Royal Mile itself is filled with shops, pubs, and historical sites to explore. We visited the site where Greyfriars Bobby was buried. He was an adorable little dog that guarded his owner's grave until the day he died. It was beautiful to see how they honored this sweet dog's loyalty and love for his owner. Next, we went to the Palace of Holyroodhouse, which is the residence of the British monarchy in Scotland. It's also where Mary Queen of Scots lived. You can tour the old part of the castle where she lived and see the rooms she frequented before she was imprisoned and eventually beheaded by her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. Legend has it that the red stain on the floor of Mary's outer chamber room is a bloodstain left behind where her private secretary, David Rizzio, was brutally murdered because her husband was jealous of him. The murder did happen. He was stabbed over 50 times. So, who knows? Maybe it really is a real bloodstain. Unfortunately, though, they don't allow pictures or video inside the palace, so I only have video from the palace grounds. Although that, in and of itself, was gorgeous. Now on to recommendations for Scotland. We can't talk about Edinburgh and not recommend Disney's Greyfriars Bobby. It tells the amazing true story of the little dog whose grave we saw earlier. His immense loyalty brought him to stay by the side of the grave of his deceased owner every day for 14 years until the day that he died. The movie Stardust, based on Neil Gaiman's book of the same name, was filmed in several different locations in Scotland, including the famous Isle of Skye. The story is a fantasy where we see a shy and quiet Tristan go on an epic adventure to prove his love by bringing back a fallen star. The only problem is that star ends up being more than he bargained for. She's an actual person, and things get complicated very quickly because Tristan is not the only one after her. This is a go-to movie for me. It's a cute, funny fantasy adventure that never gets old. Robert Pattinson's stint as Batman features some very European filming locations. Even though Gotham is technically set in America, the orphanage and cemetery scenes were filmed in Scotland in Shotts and Glasgow, respectively. The movie was also filmed in several different locations in England, as well as Chicago. The story follows Bruce Wayne as he moonlights, or rather spends most of his time, as Batman, investigating a string of grisly murders. It's a dark film noir mystery adaptation of Batman, and Zoe Kravitz's interpretation of Catwoman is probably my personal favorite that I've ever seen before. Disney's animated movie Brave is set in Scotland. The story follows Merida, a Scottish princess and a very talented archer, as she tries to win the opportunity to change her fate and control her own destiny to avoid marrying someone of her father's choosing. It's a magical movie that focuses on the importance of family relationships. The Lost King is the true story of the search for Richard III's grave. It follows an amateur historian as she tries to clear the name of a king that Tudor propaganda painted as a villain. Because she lacked an educational background in history, no one took her seriously, but she paved her own way to lay a wronged king to rest. The movie even depicts her inner turmoil as a series of conversations with the ghost of the king himself in a whimsical and charming way. Sally Hawkins shines as Philippa Langley, and her performance cements this movie as a must-see. The beginning of Avengers Infinity War sees Wanda and Vision hiding out in Scotland. These scenes of the movie were filmed right in Edinburgh. The penultimate conclusion to Phase 1 finds the Avengers up against a threat bigger than anything they've ever seen before, risking everything to save the world. This was the first Avengers movie that dared to have a legitimately devastating ending, setting up the high stakes for its conclusion and endgame. Lastly, we have Hogwarts Legacy. It's an immersive open-world action RPG video game set at Hogwarts in the 1800s. Players get to create their own characters, choose which house they want to be a part of, and then go on an adventure to unlock the secrets of an ancient and lost form of magic, all while attending Hogwarts classes and learning to hone their own magic skills. It's a dream come true for any fan of Harry Potter. Hogwarts is located in Scotland, and the creators of this game do not disappoint when it comes to bringing the school and the nearby villages to life. Visiting Edinburgh truly did feel like I was stepping into the world of this video game. Alright, this concludes today's video. Next time we'll be talking about my trip to England and discussing recommendations for that part of the UK. But for now, it's your turn. What are your favorite recommendations for stories set or filmed in Scotland? Tell me in the comments, and please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, friends, find your story.